Welcome to Pacific Mystery School. Welcome to the Western Mystery tradition. And now we are entering into 2025, the year of the Hermit. And this is 2025 is just a numerological device that is connected with the Hermit. That means we add up the year 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, and it adds up to 9. And 9 is the Hermit. So this is where we begin with our background today on who and what the Hermit is. I'm starting with a little story today about my childhood. The older I get, the more I'm asking you to indulge me with these personal stories. Okay, once upon a time, there was a hermit, an endlessly fascinating hermit, I will say. And this hermit lived on a bend in the river on Highway 40. Okay, this is in the Rockies, outside of Denver. If any of you lived anywhere around there, you would have known about the Hermit if you lived in Denver. Okay, you couldn't quite get to his house because it was across a river. Not a deep river, sometimes deep if there's runoff from the mountains, because this was in the mountains with the snow. But he definitely lived across the creek, Clear Creek, and you could see his house from the highway. I mean, it's a little highway, little windy highway going through the mountains. Anybody who lives in Colorado knows where it is. Okay, so he lived across Highway 40 on the other side of the creek. His house was surrounded by varying levels of tin cans and trash. I remember going by there a couple of times when he had a mountain of cans, and I mean taller than his house, and then another time he had 2 mountains of cans, both higher than his house. So if he went out much, he didn't go out to dump the trash, that's for sure. He had been there forever. No one knew a time when he wasn't there. He was there when my dad was a kid. He was there when we were kids. He was there all our lives. And this hermit lived outside the bounds. He was the subject of endless curiosity. I don't think anybody could drive by there and not wonder, who is he? No one knew. No one ever knew who he was. Who is he? We can see his cabin. We can see his place. A lot of people drive by on that road. So season after season, year after year, people sought him. And I am saying, I'm sure people sought him. Okay, I don't know who this person is in the picture, but I know this person is seeking the hermit. All right, so the curiosity is too much for everybody, including my dad, even my dad. Okay, so like I'm sure hundreds of people probably did, but you never really saw anyone stopped on the road. But one day my dad pulls over on the road and he says, okay, let's go like play in the creek. This is to get closer and closer and closer to the hermit, right? So we stop, we go into the creek, we pretend to play around in the creek, and we're going to see if we can get a glimpse of the hermit. Well, the hermit got a glimpse of us, and then here come the dogs of hell, the hell dogs, and they're running after us and they're chasing us. Okay, well, we had the idea at the time that hermits were wise and kind people, and that they would give you a crust of bread if you came close. This is the archetype of the hermit. Well, we couldn't have been more wrong about that. So we ran like hell, get away from the hell dogs. And that was the last time we tried to visit the hermit. So this is our introduction to the hermit archetype. And by the way, one day he disappeared. There was nothing there. And it was like the saddest moment in time that could ever have existed. So what about this hermit archetype? It has been with us forever, probably from the beginning of the human experience, as somebody on the outside. Hermit means of the desert or desert dweller. It's from the Greek word eremos, which means desolate, and it's also from Sanskrit arma, which means fragments or ruins. So what the word hermit really means is dweller amid the ruins. Who is this hermit archetypally, and what is a good hermit? In our minds, there's a good hermit. And now we know there's also maybe a bad hermit. We don't know. But the hermit's the wise one, the holy one, the teacher and the healer, one who makes whole. After spending time in the trenches, wherever the hermit is, in the trenches, in the forest, in the desert, after spending this time learning, the hermit becomes both small and large at once. This is the mystery of the hermit. A single person with a large consciousness. The hermit is always unexpected. All of a sudden, there's the hermit. There we are out in the desert, and suddenly there's the hermit. Every iota of the hermit's being sparks the development of the future of the universe. This is the good hermit. This is the magical hermit. This is the hermit who unexpectedly appears. Some of the key words of this hermit from the tarot would be in fire, the hermit in spirit, which is the element of fire. The hermit in spirit. It's about separation. It's about clear perception, enchantment maybe. It's about integration. It's about healing. In the heart and soul, the hermit's about going it alone. And here we come into maybe loneliness. It's possible that the person's lonely. The person is receiving guidance, the light of cosmic love, hopefully in the best possible way, and the hermit is radiating love. So in the tarot cards, we often see the hermit holding a lantern, which is radiating cosmic light and cosmic love. In the area of the mind, which is also the air and the wind, the mind, consciousness, the hermit, again, it's about separation, it's about seeking, inner vision, visioning, illuminating and lighting the way, and maybe even becoming a visionary, but not a visionary, not an on the internet usually visionary, but a person who's visionary in solitude. And in the area of earth, the element of earth, manifestation. What about manifestation? The hermit, the field of manifestation. The hermit may be willing to take this path of hermitage, accepting this mission of the hermitage, opening, receiving whatever is coming that way, and then giving it. And this is on the earth plane, bringing forward whatever comes and sharing it, again, lighting the way, hopefully helping and celebrating. So these are some of the key words that are associated in tarot with the good hermit. So if we take the real truth about what a hermit is, here's the core truth. This is more from a sociological point of view. The hermit separates from social constructs. That's what this is about. From roles rules, routines, and rituals of social life. The hermit's solitary. Well, this could be, in our culture, this could be forced or it could be voluntary. People can be forced to separate and forced aside into a solitary state, being separated out of society to be corrected, or maybe self-separating to seek correction, to find the truth, to find the way. We know hermits as hiding and hidden and seeking, maybe, and sometimes the hermit can be thought of as an outlaw or a criminal or a terrorist or a target or a scapegoat or an artist or a crazy one, a mystic, a seer, a holy one, a monk. It's a huge range. And what we learn is the hermit can be wise and kind, or can be dangerous and unknown. So whatever's happening in the interior space, on the inside, depends on what's happening on the inside. And what this means is that in terms of the interior consciousness, may have to do with everything that's happening around us, or even in that place where we are sequestered as a hermit. So it all has to do with, so what's happening on the inside has to do with the subconscious. And this subconscious is, our subconscious is a repository of everything we have experienced, all that has been, all that is, and all that ever shall be. And this is the tree of life. Most of you are familiar. I think it's safe to say all of you are familiar with the tree of life. And the tree of life underlays the tarot cards, and all of Tarot of the Spirit is painted on top of the tree of life, essentially. And it's the structure of the tarot and the essence of the Western mystery tradition. So here we see sphere number 9 in black, highlighted in black, and everything that comes down from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 flows into this number 9 sphere. So that's all of our life experience, but it's also all social experience and all cosmic experience or cosmological experience. All these layers flow down into the number 9. So 9, it catches it. 9 is like a catchment. Like if this was like a water flowing down in the mountains, back to the mountains, if all the water and the runoff of the mountains is flowing down, it comes into a place where there's a catchment that's like a river, and then it turns into a river, and then it flows out into number 10. And number 10 is about how we walk out into the world. So the 9th sphere, it's called the power of absorption. So it's catchment, and it's the power of absorption. It's what we absorb. All that has been flows into the 9th sphere, and then the way we walk out into the world is directly influenced from everything that's held in that 9th sphere. So that 9th sphere is the subconscious as well. It's what we know consciously, but it's also what we don't know we know. It's the subconscious that our executive function mind is not aware of necessarily, but it's there. Okay, what's happening on the inside can also result from what's happening on the outside around us in our culture. So this is all about the outside. It's all about constructing culture. And as we construct culture, we wittingly or unwittingly create antagonistic categories of people and things that may be against each other. We create the idea of normal. If something doesn't feel normal, we might We might capture somebody who doesn't seem normal and put them away, right? Like a hermit. Okay, this has something to do with othering and saming. Okay, turning people into the other. This person is not like us. Okay, and we're afraid of this person, something like that. Or, and then the other side of it, which can be just as harmful, is saming. So the othering, that can be very harmful. And saming, where we say everyone's like us, can also be not a good thing to do, because it casts everybody into the same category, and we're not the same. We're different, and we're meant to be different. Okay, so I'm just going to let this hover. But sometimes the hermit, the hermitage, inside and outside, can have something to do with social control. Who is considered a hermit and why, or who is made into a hermit and why. And here's an example story. This is a Christian story, an example of a hermit, Saint Valentine, who was forced into captivity. So he was a doctor who became a priest. I'll just kind of read this down. He was imprisoned for secretly marrying couples. And the reason that he did this is so the husbands would not be conscripted to serve in the war, because he didn't believe in war. And this was a time when new marriages had been prohibited by the Emperor Claudius. And the reason for that, that the marriages were prohibited, because all the men were being drafted into the army, basically, to serve in the war. Excuse me. And so St. Valentine befriended his jailer's daughter and healed her from blindness, because he was a physician and he knew how to do some of these things. And he healed her from blindness. And then he wrote her a letter signed, "From your Valentine." So this is where our tradition comes from. Now we send Valentines to each other. We're our Valentines. It was said that God worked miracles through him. And the Emperor Claudius offered to free Valentine if he would renounce his faith, because this was about the persecution of Christians. He refused, and Claudius was enraged and killed him. Okay, and this is after he'd been imprisoned. So then he wound up becoming the patron saint of love, and sending Valentines became the practice of lovers. And now it's a practice of everybody. Kids send them to each other in first grade. Okay, so this is just an example of an archetype of the hermit. So on the tree of life, the hermit fits in. The hermit is related, I should say, to number 9. And all of the things that are true about sphere number 9 are true about the hermit. So on the tree of life, the 9th sphere is the repository that catches the flow of 1 through 8. I already said that. And then the paths of the tree, we need to know, move in both directions. So the 9th sphere also flows upward into all of the rest of the 1 through 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, rather, and then 9 flows up into those and informs all the spheres of the tree of life. And then it also happens that number 10, which is the way we're walking in the world and everything that happens in the world, flows into ourselves and into number 9. So the number 9 catches everything in both directions on the tree and then informs everything in both directions on the tree. The 4 9s in Tarot all live in the 9th sphere. So we have the 9 of fire, the eye of fire, 9 of water, the rainbow mirror, 9 of wind, the screen, 9 of earth, the zenith. So all of those are contained in number 9, and the hermit is related to all of those. The 9 of fire, the eye of fire, is about spiritual containment. And this card says there are numberless ways to spiritual realization. This is the card of going up off the planet, opening the third eye in a huge way to see the planet from a distance. It puts everything in a different, it's a different dimension, it's a different perspective, and it opens us into spiritual realization in a really big way. This is, in this card, it's a hot air balloon rising up over the Himalayas, basically. And once we get farther and farther and farther and farther away, first we get up out of the forest, so we're up above the forest, so we can see. We look down, we're not just seeing the trees, we're seeing the whole forest. And we move up, and we see, maybe we see Tibet, and then maybe we see all of China, and then we get further and further and further away until we get way up off Earth, and Earth becomes really small. And then we're seeing very differently. That's this card. 9 of fire, eye of fire. Get up off the earth. Get up out of your position to see more broadly. This is part of the action of the Hermit. Then the 9 of water, rainbow mirror. That's about emotional containment. Remember that the 9s are all about the subconscious container, the repository. That's why I'm saying containment here. So this is emotional containment. Well, in this card, this is our emotion contained within ourselves and within our own consciousness. Love becomes the vow, compassion and celebration. The reason I say love is the vow is because this water card is all about the heart, and in the middle is a ring that's like a wedding ring. And that ring is like a spiritual vow. And here's a side note that I always forget about on this card, and I even forget about it when I do readings, but this card is also known, if you don't know, just FYI, as the wish card in tarot. So whenever you get this card, maybe you'll get it today, you can make a wish. You make a wish. This is the legend, tarot legend. You can make a wish and your wish will come true. All right, so here we go. Even if you don't get it, you can make a wish. All right, 9 of wind, the screen. This one's different. It is the container of the suit of wind or air, which is mind. Okay, so mind is the place where we can go wrong compared to the other 3 suits, because we can create false conclusions. We can layer on logic that we create that actually winds up in false conclusions. That's one problem with the way our reason can work. We also can be holding, in the 9 of wind, we can be holding a lot of difficult situations within us, situations of cruelty, of abuse, of trauma. We may or may not be aware of them. And this can be things that happen to us. It could be anything that happened to us. It's a card of phantoms on a screen. It can be something that happened to us. It could also be something that we perpetrated. We also are the perpetrators of this stuff that we may not realize. So it could be, again, it could be wittingly or unwittingly. So what the question is, what life experiences. First of all, 9 of wind, the screen, it's a review card. It's the holder, the repository of everything that's happened in our mind. So what life experiences, past lives maybe, genetics that we may be aware of or unaware of, and neurostates. Neurostates, I use that word to mean, to refer to, for example, neurodivergent states and things like that, normal and divergent, all of that, those patterns. What of all that, what is alive in the subconscious, in our subconscious, in your subconscious? So we can go in and we can take a look into our subconscious with intention. We can go into our subconscious mind if we want to do it intentionally. So the 9 of wind, again, is unlike the other 9s because the other 9s aren't loaded with all of this thought process that can get us in so much trouble. Okay, so, how do we go in, by the way, and look at this nine of wind as a life review or a subconscious review? We can do it through, there are all kinds of ways we can do it, and I don't want to go into it right now, but for example, we can do it through contemplative meditation. We could do it through hypnotherapy. We can do it through therapy, any kind of therapy. We can do it through meditation and calling up certain circumstances in our lives and asking to go deeper and go deeper until we understand what it is or what happened. Okay, I don't want to go into that anymore, but I've talked about that in other places, talking about the nines. Okay, so the hermitage. So how do we do this, and what can we do if we want to go into the in depth in our hermitage? Well, we can go into training. This is another way. We take ourselves into training, which is what we'll be doing this year. We isolate. We isolate to survive, for survival, and to learn how to be. We isolate to learn how to think, and sometimes to escape the noise of so-called civilization so we can think clearly about who we are. We also go into isolation to not think, to empty out, to get clear, to open up, or to think straight. This is all related to the nine of wind, to think straight, to think outside the box, to think what our real true thoughts are in and of ourselves. We also isolate to discipline our consciousness. We isolate ourselves to pray, to meditate, to contemplate, and to discover. All of this is related to the hermit. And the meditational triad, this is just a note of 3 ways of meditating, they say. The way of emptiness, the way of fullness, and the way of contemplation. So the way of emptiness is where we go into meditation. We empty everything out of our consciousness. The way of fullness is where we go in and we focus on something to gain the attributes of that thing. And like for example, the way of fullness would be if someone were following a guru. You might take a picture of the guru and put it in front of you and meditate on that, to receive the attributes of the guru within yourself. That would be one example of the way of fullness. Then the way of contemplation is where you would take a question or a thought of some kind, and then you would contemplate it. And you could even do that while you're walking or whatever, like some idea or concept that you're contemplating. Maybe even, it could be a mantra even. A mantra could also go into this way of fullness. But anyway, the meditational triad is the emptiness, fullness, and contemplation. Okay, and we can be in isolation while being among throngs of others. That happens too. That's part of what we do, is we will enter among throngs of others, but we will still be in our own space. So again, what happens inside depends on what's happening in the inside in the 9th sphere and how we are working with those energies of the 9th sphere, which is the subconscious. Okay, sphere 9 is called the power of absorption. The power of absorption. So I already mentioned this. The 1 through 8, spheres 1 through 8 flow into sphere 9, and then 9 flows back into and informs spheres 8 through 1 up the tree of life, and also number 10. So 9 is the subconscious. It's also the collective consciousness, and that's everything known in the collective that we could tap into. Okay, also 9 is the collective unconscious. That's everything that's floating around that we can't tap into. Only on the psychic level we could tap into it because it's floating in the ether. So it's both what's contained in the cultural offerings that we are walking through all the time, or it's in the ether. Okay, number 9, again, it's a repository of information, both known and unknown to us. It could be accessed if we know how to access it, either telepathically, psychically, or through known means, such as number 9 would be a library. It could refer to a library, going into a library, or finding information that way, or the internet, which is the more common way to do it today. But the library is a repository of information. The internet is a repository of information. And then there's a thing that we could almost call something like the invisible web. I'm not talking about the dark web, there's that too, but the invisible web, which is in the airwaves. It's all around us, but it's not on the internet. It's between the lines of the internet that we could theoretically enter into and understand. All of this is contained in the number 9. Then here's the 9 of earth. So I was talking about the 9 of fire, 9 of water, 9 of wind, and then here's 9 of earth, the zenith. This is realization in spirit, heart, mind, and body. These suits are cumulative. All 4 9s live in the 9 of earth, and that's because we are material. And the 9 of earth is material, but the material is created out of and holds all 4 9s. The spirit, which is our life force energy, our heart and soul, that our emotions within ourselves, our mental functionings, all of that is us. That's who we are. We are the 9 of earth, and we walk that on the planet. We walk that out on the planet. And in the space of the zenith is the space of realization, where we really understand it, we're successful in it, we really get it. And my mother, who painted this card, calls this card, her secret name for this card is the jackpot card. It's like when you really understand it, and then you're really hitting the jackpot. Okay, so in the tarot, number 9, again, some more about number 9. 9 is considered to be the power of 3 times 3. So this is part of the ancient legend and magic and mystery of number 9. 3 is the imagination. It's the activation of our imagination. It's where we create blueprints that then we can birth into life, the blueprints of being. And then we're birthing those. We're creating, we're imagining, we're birthing. And there are also 3 triangles on the tree of life. And those 3 triangles come together and create the number 9, sphere number 9. 9, I'll show you those 3 triangles when we get back to the tree of life. The number 9 returns to itself. So this is a key in the Hermit. 2 times 9 is 18. Then you add together 1 plus 8 and you get 9. 3 times 9 is 27. You add 2 plus 7 and it comes to 9. So these are the mysteries of math. No matter how many times you multiply 9, you could multiply 9 times 2,700,000, whatever. Like however many times you multiply 9, it always comes back to itself. So it's a mystery number in the 1 through 10 number system and in mathematics. Okay, so what is it returning to? It returns to itself. Okay, now we'll go more esoteric. Well, what is itself? And I thought, oh, okay, what is self? What is a self? Well, it's soul. It's soul. Okay, so we just think about that. It's something that continues. Sphere 9, the power of absorption. So the questions come up. And these are the questions for ourselves, especially as we enter this year in number 9. We're entering the number 9 year. What are we absorbing? Okay, that has everything to do with what we're paying attention to, which is absolutely critical because it informs our whole consciousness and our subconscious. So, how does what we absorb form the subconscious world we live by? And you just have to trust me on this. It creates it. It creates it. So, pay attention to what you're absorbing. How does what we absorb form the collective unconscious? The more we pay attention to certain things, the more all of us together pay attention to certain things, the more that thing takes on life and informs the existence of the unconscious of the collective. And then the collective is walking that out into the world. Therefore, how is the field created within and all around us? Well, it all has to do with what we're paying attention to. So the hermit adjusts their consciousness and feels more into, what do I want to absorb? How do I want my world close in and further out to be? And the hermit learns to discipline their power of absorption. We're disciplining ourselves in what we're absorbing. Okay, so, and I put there in quotes because the hermit is truly a there in terms of the, okay, we'll get to that. For example, male and female aspects and components. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. The Ninth Spirit, okay, all the tarot cards in the Tree of Life, in the Tarot of the Spirit, are painted on a diagram of the Tree of Life. So this is the Hermit with the diagram of the Tree of Life, and you can see that in Sphere 9, which is at the hem of the garment, basically. Sphere 9 is the hem of the garment of the Hermit. The Hermit, and it moves into the Hermit's feet, which are right there. So the Hermit is walking on water, and water is the emotional state and forms and informs the subconscious. Water is our feelings. So the Hermit is walking in the arena of feeling, of these psychic energies, of these telepathic ways of knowing, everything that's related to the suit of water. Okay. So this emotional groundwork, so I'm saying water is the groundwork of the Hermit. This emotional groundwork flows upward and into this flame of being, life force. Water gets converted as it moves up into spiritual energy, the flame of being. And the Hermit is then harnessing spiritual fire. This is the ultimate work. The Hermit is called Magus of the Eternal. Fire is the energy of life force of the cosmos, and the Hermit, through all these feelings and all of this deep understanding and work, harnesses this energy of spiritual fire. This is the most exalted Hermit. This is what we're going to do this year. We are going to harness spiritual fire. Get ready. Okay, and here I wanted to mention, this is a little parenthetical note. I wanted to mention my course that I have called the Lightning Spiral, which some of you have been in, or maybe you are in now, Pacific Mystery School, and the way it started, because I had in mind this idea of harnessing spiritual fire. So, but when the Tarot of the Spirit was published, which was a long time ago, 1992 it was published, so that's how long ago. It was taken by someone, boxes of books were taken by someone, an anonymous person, I don't know who, took books into I think it was two maximum security prisons, one in New York and one in Pennsylvania. and just left these books there. So no cards, because cards are illegal, but the books. Okay, so this has to do with the hermit, because here's the forced solitary, the forced hermit. So what happened, I didn't know that they had taken these books. So what happened with me was I started getting a lot of letters from maximum security prisons, in prisons plural, in New York and Pennsylvania, because people they were sharing these books and writing me letters, which scared me a little bit, mostly about how to further excel in their field. Okay, and their field would be some kind of crime that they thought the tarot could maybe help them commit better when they got out. I am not kidding. Okay, so I thought, ooh, good time to send back something, but not to enhance the criminal aspect, but maybe this is a good time to enhance consciousness in some way. So I created this course. It wasn't called the Lightning Spiral first. It was called the Path of Inspiration. Then it was called the Path of Initiation. Then it became the Lightning Spiral. It went through different iterations, and so we sent them out. We sent out these packets, because this is before the internet, and so we mailed out packets, which would be a month of lessons, and these packets were available for anyone who was incarcerated anywhere. No questions asked. All you had to do was subscribe, and it was free. And some people gave money to help with the printing, and some people, even someone who is here today, bless you, love you, and thank you, helped me to put the mailing labels on and send them out to all these prisons all across the United States. The reason it was all across the United States was because people were constantly being transferred from prison to prison. They took those packets, they showed them to their cellmates, they showed them to other people, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. So I had a pretty large prison ministry that a couple of people especially helped me with, and we made it happen. So that was going on for many, many, many years. And then I really didn't, it died down. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. I wanted to stop it after a while, and so it died down. Every now and then I still get a letter, but that started in the very beginning of Tarot of the Spirit. So what I was thinking is, oh, if you're in a cell and if you're there for many years, all of the prisons that I received letters from were all maximum security prisons, and they were all men. And so none ever came from anywhere else, only maximum security. And I never, of course, heard, what anybody did to get in there or whatever, but I thought, okay, good time to work with enlightenment, right? Okay, so anyway, that was just a side note, but that's an aspect of hermitage. Okay, so back to the hermit as they. Okay, they, right now I'm calling unisex, which is a word that we used to use, set apart, often invisible. And what's going on with the hermit is training in alternate dimensions, alternate worlds, alternate disciplines. In the tarot card, the divine feminine stands behind the hermit and informs the hermit. And so I put the head of the hermit. There's the cloak, the black cloak, and the moon. And that is the divine feminine standing behind the hermit. The hermit crone has been lost and has experienced 400 years of political exile. I mean, there are women hermits, but it is mostly considered a male archetype. The female hermit has been lost, has been disappeared, has been eradicated, and exists in symbol, but not so much in culture. The divine feminine is often placed inside male robes, and that would be the samana, the priest, the rabbi, the minister, for example. And a woman can be a minister, but even the word priestess is taboo. It's become taboo because people think of it as synonymous with a witch. And when I say 400 years, I won't go into it now, but I'm going back to, in the United States, I'm going back to Salem, Massachusetts, 1692, 1693. That's, more than 400 years ago, with the persecution of the witches, where women learned, oh, don't be a witch. Oh, I don't think I want to be a witch, because you might get hanged or something, or you might get burned at the stake. So if you're going to be a witch, you're going to be doing it underground mostly. Not entirely true now as it's coming up, but the word priestess, we barely even use it. It shocks people still. It may not shock you in your circle because you may move in unusual circles, but in the norm of the culture, people are still shocked by it. Okay, so the female hermit has been seen as a witch and has been the subject of imagination and witch hunts over time. I think enough said on that right now. There is a fine line between female hermits, crones, witches, midwives, and nuns, as seen from the outside. So I wanted to share just briefly the story of the Maryknoll nuns in Guatemala. And this, you can read about this story. It's under the Hermit in Kabbalah and Tarot of the Spirit. So these Maryknoll nuns, they're dwellers amid the ruins. And what that means is that they took over during the war in Guatemala, they took over, a church had been taken over by some of the people active in the war. I'm just going to say it this way. And they converted that church, and they were using the church to torture and kill people in Guatemala. And then it got abandoned, and these nuns moved in there, and they cleaned it all up because it was really dirty and bloody and all of this. And they were hermit nuns. They're called, you can look them up, they're called the Maryknoll nuns. And what they did is they sat in that place and on that property, and they prayed for an end to war. And they were there, I think a few of them may still be there, but they were there for many, many years as an example of female hermits and in prayer for something to happen. The divine feminine is symbolized by the moon, and I mentioned the moon on top of the hermit. The moon rules the tides and rules female tides, okay, in the female body. The moon also rules the high priestess. The high priestess holds the Akashic records, which fall like water into the ninth sphere and onto the checkered floor of the world. This is actually a Masonic floor, but it represents the checkered floor of the world. Things are not all one way. It's a blend of opposites, and including those two pillars, which are white and black pillars of opposing and complementary forces. The priestess's feet rest on the stream of human consciousness. So we have the checkerboard floor, but running through the checkerboard floor, you see a river. Okay, this represents the stream of human consciousness. So there is a relationship in terms of the moon and the third eye between the priestess and the hermit. And now the moon, okay, so here's the moon card, and the moon is the card related to the hermit in the tarot. Why? Because the hermit is number 9, The moon is number 18. Okay, 1 plus 8 equals 9. So the moon is always standing behind the hermit. The moon is always illuminating the hermit. And this is everything the moon represents and stands for symbolically. Feminine ways of knowing, the female psyche, to receive, to receive, to receive. And we, all of us, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, we all receive, 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 and experience psychic upwelling within us. This is called intuition. And what I want to point out on this moon card is that symbol that's falling out of the sky like rain. Those are the Hebrew letter Yod, and these are falling yods that are falling out of the sky to earth. A new earth is being created. It has these two wolves in the picture. One is wild, one is domesticated, and those two wolves are part of the process of creating this a brand new world. And the yods are falling down from the moon and informing a new world that's being created. So a little more about that. Yod is the Hebrew letter that represents the hermit. Here's what it means. Yod translates directly as iota, iota, like the smallest thing possible. And it also translates as creative hand, because it's the smallest thing possible, but it's also the creative hand of the universe. The hermit has a yod sash. That's the Hebrew letter again. The sash of the hermit turned sideways. The yod is a flame. The smallest iota is a spark of the flame. Yod sparks every, quote, letter of flame as a microcosm of the fiery universe. Okay, so what that means is it's called the graphic root of all letters. So what that means is that the letters of flame, that's the Hebrew alphabet. And if you look at the Hebrew alphabet, I don't think I have an example here, but if you look at the alphabet, you just look online, right? Look at the alphabet. The top of every letter has a little squiggle on it. And that little squiggle is a yod, okay? So it's a spark. And as those letters of flame grew up and became that whole alphabet, that's the way we communicate, is through alphabet. The yod, which is the spark, is a microcosm of every letter. And all the letters taken together represent the universe, the fiery universe rising up so that we are able to communicate. So the yod's considered to be the graphic root of all letters. The hermit is the iota, and the number 9 permeates all the rest of the letters, all the rest of the numbers, everything. So the hermit is a key, important card in the Tarot of the Spirit. I can't emphasize that enough. So the yod is also a vibration that permeates all that is and is everywhere, inside and outside at all times, like salt and water. That means the yod is there, the hermit is there, within and without, but we don't see it. We can't see it, but it connects the vastness of space. Yod is a connector. Okay, and this, it occurs to me, this is pretty esoteric, okay? As I was putting this together, to me it sounds normal, but when I'm saying it out loud to you, I'm realizing it's pretty esoteric. So just see if you can walk with me through this a little bit longer. Okay, so this yod energy creates, preserves, and transforms the world. It's the hand of the cosmos, which is everywhere, hand of the cosmos, at all times, past, present, and future. All that is, everything that exists, contains the power of universal flame, universal fire, universal energy, universal spirit. The power of this universal flame is called the force, the force. It's life force, and it's electrifying energy, and they call it serpent power. It's been called serpent power. And what is the hermit striving to achieve in the hermitage? The hermit is practicing, learning to wield the force, to understand it, to engage in it, and to wield it. This universal power that is everywhere throughout the universe. So the hermit is on the path to become Yoda. You see the Yoda? There we go. Yoda, the one who understands that letter, the one who understands the force and the flame. Yoda is the unexpected master, wielding the serpent power, which the serpent power is rising up within us. Remember, from the water into the flame. So the serpent power is considered to be the Kundalini force. This Kundalini rises and inflames us, and it sparks and creates the power or the force, which is both, the Kundalini is an Eastern Hindu type of term. They're telling me don't go any more into the explanation right now. And it's also libido, sexual energy. It's all the energy that rises up within us, the life force energy. It's the spark of creation, the force, the serpent power of the universe, Kundalini rising, the flame reaching upward and outward. Who comprehends Yod is full with the power of creation. Okay, and this is the year of the hermit. Who comprehends Yod is full with the power of creation. The serpent power of the hermit is related to Virgo. Virgo is the astrological sign of the hermit, and the on the right side of the symbol for Virgo is the serpent rising up, and then it comes down and it turns inward. So we see this inward turning of the serpent power. The tail turns inward, is what they say. And as that's going on, the tale that we are telling turns inward. And this is the search for wisdom that has always been with us. Virgo is a search for wisdom. And here's how we think of Virgo usually. In Virgo, we assimilate cosmic fire and light and turn it into spirit, heart, mind, and body. We connect the microcosm to the macrocosm. We repolarize emotion, our emotion, translating interior feelings into social action. That's part of what the hermit does ultimately. Interior feelings into social action, which enlivens our ability to heal. This movement. First, there's a movement inward, and then there's movement from inner to outer. This ends, they say, in a purity within ourselves. This is for the practicing hermit, the one who is striving, the one who is seeking to wield the force, to understand the force and wield it. It ends in purity, pristine vision, and union with the spirit. Spirit is the fire and the life force energy, union with spirit of the cosmos. And in the end, then there will be a new level of service to the cosmos that emerges. The hermit is path 20. I've been talking about number 9, number 9, number 9. The hermit has all the qualities of number 9, but is actually path 20 on the tree of life, which moves from sphere number 4 to sphere number 6, the area I have blacked out here on the tree of life. Sphere 6 is called the mediating intelligence. It's all about beauty, truth, equanimity, reflective and enlightened consciousness, devotion to the great work, eternal cosmic heart center of the tree of life. the crystal heart of the tree of life, they call it. Sphere number 4 is called the receptive intelligence. They all have names. It's the receptive intelligence. It's all about giving mercy, the will to love. It's about consciousness. It's about peacemaking. And it's also about constructing and creating stabilized forms, stabilizing ideas and stabilizing forms. So the sphere 4's influence on the Hermit, if you look at sphere 4, you can see that there's a path from sphere 2 into sphere 4, also a path from sphere 5 into sphere 4, okay, and a path from 7 into sphere 4. So in the 2 to 4 path into number 4, the Hierophant, that's the path of the Hierophant, 2 to 4. The Hierophant flows into the Hermit, so that's the high priest flowing into number 4, which then flows into the Hermit. 7 to 4 is the path of the Wheel of Fortune, and then, so the Wheel of Fortune from 7 to 4, and then 4 flows into the Hermit. Okay, and then sphere 4 is also informed by sphere 5, and that path connecting 5 and 4, this is pretty advanced, but I'm assuming a lot of you are really advanced, and if you can't follow this, don't, just forget it. But if you can follow it from sphere 5 to 4, that's the path of strength, the tarot card strength on the Tree of Life. And from 5 to 4, everything that happens on the path of strength, and as we balance on the path of strength, is going to flow into sphere 4. So the Hierophant, the Wheel of Fortune, and strength all flow into sphere 4, and then that flows into the Hermit directly, and that's the path of the Hermit. So the Hermit's containing all of those energies. Okay, and those energies are then contained in the ethical triangle, which is composed of spheres 4, 5, and 6. Way earlier I said there are 3 triangles on the Tree of Life. So the one that's highlighted right now is called the ethical triangle. There's one at the top composed of 1, 2, and 3. That's called the supernal or cosmological triangle and has to do with our world view of how things fit together in the cosmos. And then there's another one down below composed of 7, 8, and 9. That one's called the astral triangle, and it is about how our personality is created through 7, 8, and 9. But 4, 5, and 6, which is where the Hermit is living on that path between 4 and 6, 4, 5, and 6 create together, taken together, our set of ethics that we live by, our values that we live by. Okay, and so the Hermit is the creation of those values. And then the way that we live in the world, our ethical system that we live by is based on our values. So what we value is absolutely critical to the path of the Hermit. And what we value is also based on our perception of the cosmos, which is spheres 1, 2, and 3. So if we want to change our ethical triangle, the only way to really change our set of ethics is to change our worldview or our cosmic view by looking at 1, 2, and 3. And I can't go into that right now because that's way too long. But then it's going to flow into our personality. So also, if we want our personality to change, we have to go back into the ethical triangle and start unscrambling it. And then to unscramble our set of ethics, we have to go back into our worldview. So all of that, that's the whole Tree of Life and how it's all related. But the Hermit, in this moment, the Hermit is taking a deep look into internal values, separating out to look into internal values. The esoteric titles of the Hermit, the Hermit's called Magus of the Voice of Power and Prophet of the Eternal. So the guidance of this cosmic and cosmological consciousness is revealed through separation, isolation, contemplation, meditation, and prayer. That's the hermit in the high form. The hermit becomes the mystic, the magus, the prophet. Okay, there's already a magus in the tarot, but the hermit is the mystical, the most mystical aspect of the magus. And then in this place, the hermit strives to learn how to use the force. What is the force? Cosmic consciousness, the spark within the cosmos. The quest is about aligning with cosmic consciousness and letting that flow through us. The quest is to understand the beginning and end of all evolution. That's part of it. And arrive at divine reconciliation. That is, how does all this fit together? What does it all mean? And how are we going to work with it? The hermit becomes the light bearer. And again, light in the universe is like salt in water. It's everywhere. We can't see it, but it's there. It's ubiquitous. It's all pervasive. And the hermit knows it's there, learns it's there, and knows it's there. And then in the end, the hermit both holds the light, as we see in many tarot decks, and also is the light, as in Tarot of the Spirit. The hermit is the light. And that's where we're headed in 2025. Okay, are you with me? Okay, the hermit's called the intelligence of spiritual will. Okay, so will is about intention and preparation. The goal of this intention and preparation is to understand the flow of the cosmos. And with the Tree of Life and the Western mystery tradition and what we're working with, the flow of the cosmos is held within the 10 powers. And that's those 10 spheres, 10 numbers. And our method is contemplation, preparation, and practice. So this is called the intelligence of spiritual will. The mystery of the hermit. The source of wisdom is within. And then part of the mystery is there's nothing new under the sun, so to speak. And at the same time, every single thing is new because it keeps arising, it keeps evolving. Maybe same methods, but it keeps moving and moving and moving. Third part of the mystery, the deepest marriage of all is the divine union of microcosm and macrocosm. So we're like the microcosm, we live in the macrocosm, and we move into a marriage of that unites us with cosmos. And this marriage exists in the heart of all, in the heart of everyone. If we awaken to it, when we awaken to it, it's already there. Holding the light and keeping it burning, that's the job of the hermit. The hermit holds the light and becomes it. And so a little bit more about card symbology. The hermit's left foot is stepping into the unconscious, into intuition. That's left foot forward. Left always goes into the unconscious. And you see there's a yod right there at the hermit's left foot. Is a little reminder. This is what I'm stepping into, the ubiquitous light of the cosmos. The right hand holds the sun, the left hand the moon, balancing the energies. The sash is made of that Hebrew letter, the yod, and then the water is related to the Great Mother, and the Divine Feminine standing behind the hermit is the Great Mother of the universe. The Great Mother births her child out of the water, and then she plies her progeny with energy and the potential for, quote, hot hands, for those of you who are in healing professions. A hot hands are healing hands. The hermit has the power of healing hot hands, the light, holding the light. So the Hermit's also a healer. And today we're seeking this cosmological power of the Hermit. And these are affirmations for us. Cosmic mystery finds me when I seek cosmic mystery. That's the fire. That's that Kundalini energy. That's the spiritual energy. Cosmic love finds me when I open to cosmic love. That's the water energy, the emotional energy, the heart energy. Cosmic vision finds me when I seek cosmic vision. That's the vision of air, of mind, of putting it all together into a vision. Cosmic purpose finds me when I seek cosmic purpose. And this is about our lives and the way we're living our lives with purpose, with the intention of spiritual will, with our meaning activated on our deepest values. And here we go. And now we walk the path right into 2025, our year-long hermitage. So welcome one and all to the path for this year. We journey together. We also journey alone. And here, if you want to join our year-long hermitage with our community from anywhere in the world, you can. So this will be happening with second Saturday tarot class. And then here's how you could register for it if you want to. It's on tarotofthespirit.com and just go to classes. Okay, so now is the moment. Pacific Mystery School, the Hermit. And now let us enter our hermitage, one of fire, brand new spiritual path. Here we go. And as always, I want to say thank you so much. Bless your path from the beginning of your path to the end of your path through all time and space. Love, love, love be with you. Bless, bless, bless.